Let's see here. What's up? This is Mike Perkins, one half of MVP, one half of Opinions I Like podcast, one half of Mike and Vince Perkins, and for this here, I am the whole show. Um, I'm just trying to go live. I had, I'm saying, a couple thoughts on some things. You see the title, you see the yeah. There's no thumbnail, but you see the title. I'm so in like go mode when I do these. Um, but yeah, usually when you solve a problem, you know what I mean, you generally speaking kind of create another one. Um, like if you create the microwave, you're gonna ultimately create, a very, uh, you create people who want food fast, and when you create fast foods, or when you create, you know, um, an era whereas people are wanting things very quickly. It creates laziness. It creates, fat people. It creates, the high blood pressure that you have and things of that nature. And then it creates more problems for you to solve. You know what I'm saying? I think that in this gender thing, like the more problems that people try to solve and go against Darwinism or, whatever you believe in, the more that people are really trying to, saying, the more that people are kind of creating more problems for themselves. So that we're trying to like, what's up now, Paul Gang? You know what I'm saying? Uh, People are trying to like create new solutions to these problems that we have socially, problems that we have, with communication with women, and so on and so forth. And a lot of that is really just us really creating more problems for ourselves. You know what I mean? Like the problem of communication. Okay, we have social media, but you see the anxiety and the depression and all of the things that people kind of go through because of that. Hit the like button if you could. That people go through because of social media, because of the instant gratification that you get from just being, you know, um, from being in social media so much, and we're creating more problems trying to really solve this situation between men and women, black men and black women specifically. You know what I'm saying? When we're trying to solve a problem that really doesn't need to be solved. It kind of needs to, we kind of need to leave it, to be solved on its own. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to like rig the situation in order to have men and women sort of, come together in this very inauthentic way. We don't really want to come together in that way. We're just kind of, you know, trying to come together under some false pretense of some sort. Like, we're not really uh, together. We're just, what I'm saying, we're together because this is how we fix the problem and kind of go on with our lives. And what they've been trying to solve, the problem that they've been trying to solve for a very long time, is like this um, equality problem, if you will. It's really not a problem that we need to really try to solve. It's really a problem of if it creates another problem, it creates the toothless lions that you have nowadays. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of dudes without direction. You have a lot of dudes without any kind of motivation, any kind of, just get up and go. I was watching I had to watch that whole interview with Jordan Peterson and Piers Morgan, I think. You know what I mean? But Jordan Peterson nonetheless. And I was just looking at it, and when, so I saw him tear up, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I didn't tear up myself, but I felt him. You know what I mean? Um, like society is really trying to, you know what I'm saying, or the powers that be are really trying to solve a problem that ultimately creates other problems. Like it creates more docile, effeminate men. You know You know what I'm saying? And I don't even know if they're really trying to solve it, but let me just take them at the word with regards to trying to actually solve the problem or trying to, do the thing that solve this problem of equality or solve the problem of, women's empowerment or whatever the fuck they really trying to do. And it's just creating more problems. And the more I think we try to solve this thing and just instead of telling men to just disengage, the more we give resistance and more resistance and keep pushing, 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 the more we kind of create more and more and more and more problems. You know what I mean? As opposed to like, and that brings me always to the point where it's like, I think like the YouTube stuff, you know what I'm saying, for me is really, it's communication with dudes, you know what I'm saying? And I need to kind of like, um, kind of bring it, reel it in with regards to the content on women, so much because it's not I think that people being aware of what women are doing, like I think that like in my regular life, I talk about the paternity test thing because I think that that's like one of those things that really like pisses me off. You know what I'm saying? Because I know guys who have been through that situation specifically, you know what I'm saying, in my life, you know what I'm saying, family members and things of that nature. Whereas, the kid they thought was theirs ultimately wasn't theirs, you know what I'm saying? And, myself, I mean, it wasn't like that. I thought the kid was mine, but, you know what I mean? I was in a situation whereas, and I, go to that issue, you know what I'm saying? Not issue, but you know what I'm saying? I go to that okay, equality outcomes are dangerous. Yeah. Equality outcomes is very dangerous. And even Jordan Peterson was the one that actually like he brought that to my attention. You know what I'm saying? The fact that equality of outcomes is really a dangerous thing. And that's what they're really trying to do. They're trying to artificially, create those that outcome, of equality. But getting back to it, I had a young lady, you know what I'm saying, who, you know what I mean? I mean, I can't say I knew her like that. It's like my freshman year of college, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I had sex with her, you know what I'm saying? It happens, you know what I'm saying? And, college is fuck fest, whatever year you were in it. And, so you go and you just live your life afterwards. It wasn't like no big deal. And, she ended up pregnant and, she wasn't like, she was a jump off, you know what I mean? For, apparently a lot of dudes. And, I was just one of them dudes. And, what comes back around is that, she's pregnant, she's pregnant, she's pregnant. And people are like pointing at me. And, time goes by, you know what I'm saying? The girl leaves the school or she, gets kicked out or whatever. And maybe like 5 years later, she like pops up and says, "Oh, you're the dad." And I'm like, well, I don't think I'm the dad. You know what I'm saying? I was strapped up, you know what I'm saying? You wasn't necessarily, the most purest person in the world. You know what I'm saying? I know niggas hit, but I mean, whatever. I'll take a, paternity test. And the more and more she started talking, you know what I'm saying, and started acting, the more and more I started thinking like maybe I am, and I'm 23 at the time, I think, 23, something like that, 22. And she's just talking and talking and talking about, what she's been through, what she's done or whatever. And I'm listening and I'm just like, man, like it doesn't feel like this is, my kid, but we're gonna take a paternity test nonetheless. And eventually she had the little girl calling me dad. It was a girl. She had the little girl calling me dad. And it took like a 2 month. It was from Thanksgiving to February the 1st of that next year, that like the timeline. And I'm like listening to her talk this whole time. And I'm just like, man, like, I hope this kid ain't mine, but, so eventually, we get to the point where the test is taken. And again, she has the kid calling me dad. And, the kid wasn't mine, and I don't think she ever actually, after me, looked for the guy who was actually the father of the kid because, I mean, why would she? She tested probably like, I think 3 or 4 dudes, you know what I'm saying, that I knew of, counting myself, you know, like 4 or 5, you know, but, you know, like when you get situations like that really, really pisses me off that women can just do that. You know what I mean? And there's no like real consequence to it. You know, nobody has to say, well, what is this woman doing? Is she really, you know what I'm saying, actually she just picked me. She didn't care about the facts. You know what I'm saying? She didn't care about whether it was actually me or not. You know what I'm saying? You know, she actually picked me. I tell you this, she picked me because it seemed like I would actually be with her. You know what I mean? Like I have this thing, like I always say about myself, I have a relationship face. You know what I'm saying? I have relationship face. And I don't, what's up? Yeah, she tried to beta cuck me. She did, you know what I'm saying? She tried to, and she would have if I didn't immediately say take a test. And that's the thing too. Like I was green. I was so green at that time that I kind of put myself at a disadvantage with even trying to like do it. But you know what I'm saying? Like everybody that was around me kind of said the way that I was handling it, you know what I mean? Because it was maybe like I said, like a 2 month span, you know what I mean? Because you listened to her BS, that's why she picked you. Exactly, because I listened to her BS, you know what I'm saying? And but it was like a 2 month span, you know what I'm saying? From Thanksgiving to February the 1st is when I got the actual test. And, you know, the way that I handled it, you know what I'm saying? I was really just quiet for the most part, you know, and dealt with it, you know, nonetheless. And, you know, the kid wasn't mine, you know what I'm saying? And I got to have my life back. But the thing that I had a problem with was that she could do that and just turn my world upside down. Cause like I had to tell my mom, I had to tell my dad, I had to tell my brothers, I had to, you know, tell my grandma, I had to tell people because, you know, she was coming around and she was coming around with this kid calling me dad. So I had to like come around, you know what I'm saying, and say, okay, here's this kid, you know what I'm saying, it may be mine or whatever. You know, and you had people who was like haters, you know what I mean? I had aunts that really didn't want me to to not be the dad. They wanted me to be the dad. You know what I'm saying? You know, make sure you hit the like button on the way in. You know, but I say all that to say this. You know what I'm saying? The problems that we're trying to solve, if you will, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the commentary, and I have to really lean myself because you know sometimes I feel like I get a little petty. The content that we're putting out, you know, with regards to the women, I think that it's time for, you know me, at least myself, I'm gonna do it myself. It's time to kind of reel it in because I don't think that ultimately I'm solving a problem. You know, I want to make people aware, but I don't even know how, you know what I'm saying? I'm sometimes asking for a test doesn't mean anything. Yeah, Memphis, the case in Memphis, you should not have got some more. I'm an idiot. I actually did, you know what I'm saying? If I'm being honest, I hit it a couple more times during those 2 months. But she didn't get pregnant, you know, so whatever. But back to the topic, you know what I'm saying? Solving problems sometimes, you know, creates other ones. And I think that the problem that, you know, a lot of times we are trying to solve, it really, really, you know, creates another problem. It creates resistance. You know what I'm saying? Like you get guys like Mr. Let Go. I think that Mr. Let Go, for example, is like the problem with him is that he doesn't want anybody to tell him what to do. You know, so that, you know, with Mr. Let Go, he's like playing both sides of what it is that's going on. You know, because like, you know, when he's talking to like Brittany Renner, you know what I'm saying, whatever. When he's talking about Brittany Renner, he can put her in her place, but then he can also call men corny for not wanting to date baby mamas. You feel me? It's just like, well, both of those things kind of can exist because when you put her in her place, you put her in her place because she was reckless with her body, you know what I mean, in her example. And if she had like 300 bodies, then what would that do? You know what I'm saying? She can't be on the market and, you know what I mean, get the same outcomes that you would get, you know what I'm saying, with you having 300 bodies. And he understands that idea, but I think that what we do a lot of times is that when we do commentary on that, we almost entertain it to the point where it's relevant, and we know environmentally, like that's gonna fix itself. You know what I mean? Like Brittany Renner is not gonna get the kind of guy that she wants. We all already know that. And a lot of times, like I like BGS's content, all the time, because it seems like BGS is like a predictor, of what's to come. He's predicting food shortages lately, which is kind of scary. You know what I'm saying? Because I've heard BGS doesn't miss often. He's predicted a lot of things, but I think that what we, and me talking about myself, I'm not going to tell, anybody to change their content, but I think that what I'm going to start doing is start, trying to be more, not clairvoyant or anything, but trying to look to what's going to happen, as opposed to looking at what is happening. Because what's happening now is that a lot of the things that have been said before, the winter is coming, obviously winter is here, and, you have a bunch of evictions, and, you have all of this, the student loan debt thing is ridiculous. Another stat that, that goes on reported a lot of times, 60% of Black women don't have anything saved for retirement, and a lot of this strong, independent, don't need no man shit is really like, it's clown shit at this point. And I think that in this space, we kind of know that, and that it's kind of, time, at least for myself, again, I'm not going to tell, Hood to stop doing what he's doing. I enjoy Hood Services, content, Bernard, Ed, BGS, Dr. Tia San Johnson, like the people who I listen to, Grinch, and things of that nature. Like, I enjoy their content. So, I would never tell people what to do with their content. But I think that what I'm going to start doing is start trying to speak to the environment, going forward. Like, what the environment is going to look like going forward. Because I don't want to have to like tell my, like I got nieces, you know what I'm saying? And what I don't want to ever have to tell them is that they shouldn't hot girl summer. I want to be able to say, look at this girl, she hot girl summer. You want to do that? You know what I mean? As opposed to trying to like tell her, you shouldn't do that, because the resistance that I'm giving her to the thing that she may want to do or may not want to do is giving her, a reason to kind of like do the thing anyway. You know what I mean? Like, people don't like being told what to do. You know what I'm saying? They want to see. But if I can say, look, she hot girl summer, then that's, you want to do plastic surgery? Look at Lil' Kim. You know what I mean? You want a hot girl summer? Look at Brittany Renner. You know what I'm saying? You want to, have babies and whatever. Look at this girl. Look at that girl. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to kind of like point to the environment and kind of let the thing kind of solve itself. You know what I mean? As opposed to trying to swim upstream, just swim with the stream, because people are fucking up their lives, and these women are really fucking up their lives. You know what I'm saying? They get fat, they getting obese, you know what I'm saying? They eating like crazy, you know what I'm saying? They're creating, health problems for themselves. There's really no real reason to like even engage sometimes with some of these conversations, because they're doing it themselves, you know what I'm saying? They're really putting themselves at a disadvantage, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's say we can't all be the same guy. I agree, we can't all be the same guy, and that's why I don't never like, the space used to go in this direction. Like, nah, man. Look, man. Every time Hood Services does, and I don't always catch you live. You know what I'm saying? I don't always catch Hood live, but anytime that Hood does anything, you know what I mean? It's always very comprehensive. It's always very well put together. You know what I mean? And, of course, Hood Services is very like, he has a very sarcastic, delivery that, you know what I'm saying, I enjoy, because, in my regular life, I'm a real sarcastic dude. And, I would never want to change, anything that anybody's doing in the space. But getting back to it, I want the environment to sort of be the problem solver. You know what I mean? The environment is the problem solver. It's just like, man, like I always say, like, the reason that women don't jump off of 50-story buildings is because, gravity is real, niggas can't fly, and the ground is hard. You know, it's not because they understand gravity or understand that acceleration, you know what I'm saying, when you're coming off a building is negative 9.8 meters per second squared. Like they don't understand that because they just don't. They don't, their degrees don't have math requirements. So it's like they don't need to understand that. They just need to understand that there's a consequence for their actions. And what, guys like Mr. Let Go or, We Need to Talk or all of these guys are doing, they're creating a consequence, a consequence less environment for women, whereas they can just come back. And it's like they can do that as much as they can in theory. They can do it as much as they want, but ultimately the environment is going to be the environment. And so that, like, what you see is, and the reason I really thought this is because, like, when you say SYSBM or when you say passport bros, it immediately triggers women, like immediately. They're never like, it triggers something in them. When you say interracially dating, when you say interculturally dating, it immediately triggers women to the point where it's a violent reaction. You know what I'm saying? But it's the environment. The environment is like, look, you're not treating me well over here, I'm gonna go over here. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's Darwinism. It's damn near just like, well, that's a natural reaction. People go where, they're needed. People go where they're loved. People go where they're, where they're celebrated and appreciated, not tolerated. You know what I'm saying? But people go where it's good for them. And just really encouraging men to kind of like act in their own best interest is the direction that I want to go. I mean, not to say that I want to do content on the other end, because, saying these bitches be tripping, you know what I'm saying, sometimes. But I myself just need to, encourage more men to kind of just operate in their own best interest, because trying to solve the problem of men and women, it's a zero-sum game at this point. The environment is the environment. I mean, it's not as bad as it could be, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not, Dawn of the Dead outside, but it's damn near, as close as you can get with the modern era. You know what I mean? Obviously, we got cars and shit, and there's still gas, but gas is $5. Like, gas was $2 once upon a time, and it's $5 now. Like, and these bitches are still going on fucking trips to this and trips to that. Like, the first 9 months of the pandemic, $12 billion worth of 401k loans is taken out. Motherfuckers is wilding, son. I mean, and not to say that a 401k is the best thing, you know what I'm saying, for retirement. But if you ain't got nothing and you do have a 401k, a raw 401k at that, like, that's better than nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's better than nothing. Like, it's better than waiting for Social Security or waiting to hit a lick or something like that, or trying to open your own business and having that fail. Like, 60% are already, as of 2019, don't have anything saved for retirement. 60% already. Like, they wow. You know what I mean? And, on the ground, what I saw a lot was women just taking out their 401k. And I think that what we need to do is, or what I need to do, not we, what I need to do is just allow them to do it. As opposed to trying to say, well, you should do this. Like, I be sounding like a fucking clown. Like, I don't like sounding like that. I don't like telling people what to do. I don't like telling people how to do what they're doing. You know what I mean? I just want to let people do. Now, I do want to make dudes aware, because a lot of times you get these dudes who just think that their manhood is sort of like, their manhood is based on the idea of a woman, you know what I mean? And so that they're trying to, like, be, say women would rather borrow more than spend less. Yeah, they rather borrow more than spend less. And like, our women specifically are the hyperest of consumers. Like, they spend like 94 cents on a dollar, something ridiculous like that. It's dumb, like, and it's like the same women call themselves strong and independent and don't need no man. The irony, right? You know what I mean? But I don't want to tell them what to do. I want to let them fail so that the next generation of women don't have a choice. You know what I mean? Because, like, the thing of it is that femininity, submission, cooperation, that stuff is not born out of leisure. These women are talking like soft girl era, for example. They're talking as if you let them be free and be, you know what I mean, in leisure or in luxury or whatever, like, then they're gonna be fucking, they're gonna act right. It's like, no, bitch, you're not gonna act right. You're actually gonna act worse because you're spoiled. Femininity, fucking submission and all of that stuff is born out of necessity. It's born out of force. You know what I mean? Like, there's no such thing as leadership without force. You know, Nick can't be a leader, and leadership isn't about being liked. So when I say we're going this way, you may not like it. You know what I mean? And you're not supposed to like it. But what it's supposed to be is supposed to be efficient. It's supposed to be we're going this way because this way works. Not we're going this way and you like everything that I do. No, most often you're not going to like anything I do because your femininity or your submission or your cooperation is not born out of fucking like leisure. It's not born out of choice. It's born out of necessity, you know, and that's another thing. But you got to convince the guys of that, you know, and I gotta, you know, say just I gotta do a better job of communicating that. Cause like I said, I got a whole brother, you know what I mean, that anytime I'm saying some of this stuff, he's like, what nigga? You know what I mean? And it's because, you know what I'm saying, you know, like I mean, my face has been shown, you know what I'm saying? Both of our faces have been shown, you know what I'm saying? We're not like, I'm not the tallest of the two of us. My brother is, you know what I'm saying, 6'3", you know what I'm saying? I'm around 6 feet, maybe a little, you know what I'm saying, shorter than that. But like me and my brother, for the most part, we've been select dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like for the most part, we've been select dudes, and it's not really, we don't have problems on the front end, you know, and it's damn near a hindrance. It's a hindrance almost because you'll get a woman that'll act right for the first 2-3 years even. You'll be in a relationship and she'll act right for the first 2-3 years, and then she'll break bad year 3. And then you like, what the fuck happened? But you were setting up, you know, the conditions for her to act that way anyway, and you didn't know. Like you're looking at her and being like, damn, I can't believe the bitch just broke bad on me. But the reason she broke bad is because you don't understand it. That you're trying to solve a problem of your masculinity, trying to solve a problem of equality in a relationship. You're trying to solve a problem of, you know what I'm saying, her being empowered. Like, fuck that shit. You don't need to solve those problems. Those problems are not necessary to solve. You're trying to solve a problem of her feeling adequate in the relationship. Like, those problems don't need it. Do what you're supposed to do anyway, and then everything else kind of fixes itself. You know, everything else kind of fixes itself. It's just like you can't be concerned with, you know, a lot of the trivial emotional things. You know, like they're trying to soften us up. This push to make men go to therapy and all that stuff. Like, I don't think that we don't need therapy. You know what I mean? And if you do go to therapy, just as a sidebar, like if you go to therapy and you go to a woman, you're an idiot. And I think that you deserve everything that happens to you afterward. If you go to a black woman, I think that you should just drive, you know what I'm saying, into the building. Like you're an idiot. If you go to therapy and you go to a black woman, you're a dummy. You know what I'm saying? At this point, you know what I mean? They have not, you know what I'm saying, shown themselves to it fixes itself when she's left. Yes, and that's the thing. Like, and that's really the point. Like all of this negotiation is really a lesson in futility. You know what I'm saying? It's really a lesson in futility when you think about it, because like what dudes are trying to do is they're trying to negotiate at a table and they're not willing to leave the table. And the person who's willing to leave the table is the person who's going to win the negotiation ultimately. You know, and the thing is that a lot of us are really just trying to negotiate with women. Just walk into traffic. Just walk into traffic. Right. But a lot of times we're trying to negotiate at the table. And what do we negotiate? Like, if we're not willing to leave from the table, of which, again, this is like a conversation I have with my brother all the time. And he's like, man, you just be saying leave them. That ain't the solution. It's just like, yes, it is. It's kind of the solution. If a woman doesn't know that you'll leave her, she kind of doesn't really have a reason to listen to you. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's kind of no reason to listen to you, because she's not gonna ever, you know, she doesn't believe you'll leave. So engaging with her is winning for her. Even if she's losing, you could be, you know what I'm saying, down bad. But the idea that you're still engaging with her is really a win for her. You know, and if you're not willing to just up from the table, and not just up from the table, replace her goofy ass. You know what I mean? Replace her and be happy. Now, I'm not saying replace her with something even better, but replace her and be more efficient and be happier. You know what I'm saying? So she ain't got you could be with an 8 and then leave her and go to a fucking 6. If you're happier and more efficient with that 6 and she on your program, then you won. Give a fuck about her being fine, and especially at the age that we're at, man. Looks are really relative. Like, look, dude, there's 8s and 9s, women that would have been 8s and 9s. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think you can be 40 and be an 8 or a 9. But it's women that would have been 8s and 9s that are on the market right now. I mean, it's literally discount shopping out this motherfucker, which the problem is solving itself. You know what I mean? These evictions, the problem is kind of solving itself. You know what I mean? Because again, I keep saying it, and like, I mean, I don't know if I'm being an asshole. Hopefully, the women who are calling me are not like, I'm not gonna call you no more. But my phone is ringing, and my phone continues to ring because the problem is kind of solving itself in the sense that, you know, and not to say I've ever been like, you know, bitch broke or anything like that, but like the problem is solving itself in the sense that women are aware of the environment. Like, they're aware of the environment. Like, hey, it's cold outside. You know what I mean? Hey man, it's fucking, you know what I mean? It's hot outside. It's this, it's that. You know what I mean? They understand the environment. They have to adapt to the environment. And we're not letting them feel the environment. Fuck telling them what's gonna happen. Fuck telling them what's going on. Let them feel that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't convince them of anything. You know what I'm saying? And not to say that in this space anybody's really trying to convince anybody, but I think a lot of times, and for myself especially, you know what I'm saying, I go hard on saying, see, this is what they did. See, this is what they did. Nah, man, like, it's time for them to eat this now. It's time for them to eat all this bullshit. It's just time for them to eat it, and then let's move on. Let's just tell dudes to improve. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I like what Austin is doing. You know, Austin with, you know, with the green pill. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? What up though, Ishmael? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but it's like, I like what Austin is doing. I like, you know what I mean, the stuff that you know, that you know, Dr. Tiasan Johnson, you know what I'm saying? Because he has like an actual like 14-point plan. I think it's 14 points, but a 14-point plan of things that, you know what I'm saying, need to be, you know, addressed. You know what I mean? And I like those kind of things. You know what I'm saying? That SYSBM, you know what I'm saying? I just watched a video from Pablo yesterday. We was talking about Grinch's video about Mr. Let Go. Like, I like that Pablo is, you know, I mean, I think he's SYSBM or Passport Bros, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe both, who knows? You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, I like the solution, you know what I mean? And I'm not aware it's a solution as dude, but I think that like it's natural progression that really it solves itself. You know what I mean? Like, the shit just solves itself. You're either gonna die or you're gonna adjust. I mean, there's really no in between. You know what I'm saying? You're either gonna die or you're gonna adjust. And if they don't adjust, they're gonna die. But we need to let them just die. I said, let them die. My brother listened to one of the videos, and I was just like, you gotta let that shit, you gotta let them die. And he was like, nigga, that's wild. I'm like, no. I literally mean that though. I literally mean that. I literally mean that. You gotta let them die. You know what I mean? And I like, we've been socialized, especially black men. I think men in America, but socialized as men. You know what I mean? You know, yeah, Pablo is fire as hell. You know what I'm saying? But we are socialized as men to kind of like, you know, I got a few people in here. Make sure you hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? We're socialized as men to not see women suffer. And like, their femininity, their cooperation, their submission is not born out of a world without consequence. You know what I mean? And that's what they're trying to convince you. It's like, your job is to make sure that I don't have any consequence. No, bitch. My job is to make sure that you're on my program. So that if you have to fall on your fucking face, you know what I'm saying, in order for you to be on my program, then you will be. Then you will be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I lead with, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I don't, and this is in the last couple of relationships that I've been in, you know what I'm saying, in that regard. Because I was in, you know what I'm saying, I was married for 8 years with the same woman for 15, you know what I'm saying? And after that, you know what I'm saying, you know, you date, you get a girlfriend or two, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, with the two women that are actually, you know, girlfriend enough to like actually, yeah, what up though, Christian? You know what I'm saying? And, you know, being in those relationships, you know what I'm saying? You get to the point where people start asking, well, what happened with you and your wife? What happened with you and your wife? Why y'all divorced? You know what I'm saying? And I tell them, you know what I mean? I tell them what happened, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm not really forthright with that information. I never really tell it because I really, you know, it's my business, you know what I mean? But it is her business as well. So a lot of times, because it's just both our business, I only really say things that are kind of either neutral or stuff that you would know anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm divorced, so obviously there's a you know, some kind of, custody hearing of some sort or whatever. You know what I mean? But they would ask me like, what happened? And I would let them know in certain terms, like, look, this is the woman that I was obviously in love with. This is the woman that I married. You know what I mean? She had my kids. You know what I'm saying? I got 2 boys. I absolutely love my boys. You know what I'm saying? And, she gave me everything that a woman would give a man from a physical, tangible standpoint. You know what I mean? Like, as far as like kids and, things of that nature. And I loved her. And I left. You know what I mean? I left. I wasn't happy. Situation wasn't going right. I left. You know what I mean? And I say that always as a means to say it doesn't matter what you think you are. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how great you think your coochie is. It doesn't matter how smart you think you are. It doesn't matter how good a cook you think you are or whatever. You will not make me unhappy for a fucking week and think that I'm gonna stay. Because I left the woman I was obviously in love with because I was married. You know what I mean? I left her, So you have to understand that I will leave you, that will happen, and we have to and I don't say it that way, obviously, what I'm saying? I don't get into detail about anything, what I'm saying, necessarily, but I'm always of the mindset that giving a woman the impression or just because again, you don't necessarily convey it. You just fucking you believe it. Like, don't use it as a tactic, use it as an ethic. You have to believe that you'll leave and you'll be okay. And that's the only way to really deal with it. Because then it's like you can then negotiate the things. It's like, look, we're not fucking enough. You know what I'm saying? And you can say, look, if we're not fucking enough, it just is what it is. Like you can actually negotiate better when you're able to leave. You know what I'm saying? But neither here nor there. Like in the relationships that I've been in, being able to say that I will leave ultimately, creates a better situation for me. Now, ultimately, I left because I ain't with, neither one of them now, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't leave on bad terms. I didn't leave when the shit got dirty and now they hate my guts. You know what I'm saying? It's never that. Like but you solve the problem by not trying to solve problems that don't need to be solved. There doesn't need to be equality in relationships. There doesn't need to be you leave sometime and then she leaves sometime. It doesn't need to be that. You know what I mean? And then we revert back because we're socialized again, Black men especially, we're socialized to not see our women suffer. We need to let these motherfuckers suffer. It's their problem. It's their problem. It's their problem. It's not our problem to solve. You know what I'm saying? It's their problem. It's the first iteration of strong, independent Black women who don't need no man that will see it all the way through the end. Because even our moms, you know what I'm saying, are not necessarily of that because they have a point of reference in their moms. You know what I'm saying? So when you go back to I think my mom was born in the 50s. So her mom was born probably in the, you know what I'm saying, in the 30s or something like that, or 30s or 20s or something like that. So you're talking about back then where, again, necessity dictated submission, cooperation, femininity, you know what I'm saying? And now that choice shit, man, that shit is for the birds. And I'm not saying oppress women. You know what I mean? I don't think that you should oppress women necessarily, but I do believe, you know what I'm saying, shout out to Hood, but on some level, yes, there should be a level of restriction, which they think is oppression, which I know that he was using it tongue in cheek. But I get tired of listening to dudes. That's why game is so fucking not even social skills, but game. That's why game is so fucking ill. It's like, nigga, why are you trying to negotiate with a broad? You know what I mean? The thing that I do too, and I've done this, you know what I'm saying? I've dated broads who obviously like me, you know what I mean? Who, I know I'm better than them. You know what I mean? And the power dynamic suggests that, okay, cool. I'll leave you and I'll do better than you. So act right. Never got to worry about sex. Obviously, you never got to worry about food. Never got to worry about cooperation. Never got to worry about submission. Never got to worry about any of that stuff. Dudes don't date that way. I was having a conversation with my son. And, the older my son gets, the more the conversations get a little bit more complex. My son listens to Sneeko, which is crazy. You know what I'm saying? He just out of the blue, just saw it on his phone. Oh, you listen to Sneeko. You know what I'm saying? And he listens to Tate, which is crazy too. But I was, never date a woman who is too anything for you to say no to her. So if she's too pretty for you to say no to her, she's too You know, her body too bodied up, you know what I'm saying, for you to say no to her, or she's too anything. She's too loud. She's too anything for you to say no to her and walk away from her. You know, never deal with a woman because then you're not there yet. You know what I'm saying? You need you need to be, you know, somewhere else, you know what I mean, or a different level of woman in order to actually, you know what I'm saying, you know, and again, that problem sort of solves itself. You know what I mean? All the problems that you would have had sort of solved themselves. Now you still gotta be a good dude, obviously, you know what I'm saying? But all those problems sort of solve themselves as opposed to trying to solve the fucking problem. The problem will solve itself. It just will. Like you gotta do the right thing, obviously. But a lot of these problems that we're trying to solve, man, they've been solving themselves slowly but surely. You know what I mean? But they've been solving themselves, and we need to just get out the way. Just get out the way. Stop trying to, you know, be in a way of do even the blue pill dudes, like even the dudes who don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Who are still out here trying to like that problem will solve itself. You know what I mean? That thing will implode. You know what I mean? Now it won't, you know, do it immediately, but the problem will solve itself. It's inevitable for it to solve itself. You know what I mean? Just like hyper consumerism lends itself to you know, a race of women who lead in all debt categories and have the most evictions. Like eventually the problem solves itself. You know what I mean? There's a governor on how far you can do that. You know what I'm saying? All the eating chicken and drinking Hennessy and all that shit. You know, I need some Hennessy to wash this down. This chicken is just so delicious, but I need some Hennessy. You know what I mean? And then they take some Hennessy and they wash that shit down, and then boom, diabetes. You know what I'm saying? Boom, obesity. Boom, cellulite. You know what I mean? And all of that. You know what I mean? And you know, the problem sort of solves itself. You know what I mean? This Instagram shit, you know what I'm saying? Whereas bras is on Instagram and TikTok and doing all the complaint, like that shit just solves itself. You know what I mean? Like I'll be hearing Ed all the time say, don't be going in their comments fucking trying to like argue back and forth with them. Like the problem is gonna get solved. It's easy now. You know what I mean? And just being aware of it is the thing that kind of makes me calm. You know what I mean? It makes me move a lot slower because I don't need to be as loud. You know what I mean? I don't need to be as loud, you know, when I'm talking to women. Just when I'm talking in general. Like I don't need to be as loud because like I'm confident in my understanding of the environment, you know, and I can kind of move slow. And I'm not old, you know what I mean, but I'm in my 40s, but it's like even still I can still move slow. I can still move slow. I can still pace myself because I understand the environment a lot better than I did even 2 years ago. You know what I mean? And it's really like this. All of these problems are really gonna solve themselves because it's the environment. Like you can only fucking do the things that women, and not even really like. And I like that Austin says American women as opposed to black women because I think that what he did with that is he set himself up to be able to talk more about culture than race. You know what I mean? Because I think that what we do a lot of times because we put a specific race on it, it limits our ability to kind of talk about um, what it is that there's no link. I'm live. You know what I'm saying? But um, there's no room, no wiggle room for us to kind of say, but we're talking about culture, even though most of the stuff we do talk about on this side is cultural. You know what I'm saying? It is cultural. It's like when women, you know, say, you know, just pick better women, not understanding that, you know, we picking black women at like 87% or something like that. You know what I mean? 87%. So we picking them at 87%. 60% of the divorces are ending in 60% of the marriages are ending in divorce. And like, you know, 80% of the time it's them that are filing for the divorce. It's like at a certain point, man, it's like if I transpose, you know what I mean? So take black women out of it. Let's say I'm picking Foot Locker 87% of the time. And 60% of the time it's fucked up, and 80% of the time it's them. You know what I mean? Like you would tell me stop going to Foot Locker. Like nigga, go to Dunham's or something. Like stop going to fucking,
Foot Locker because they're fucking you, dog. You know what I'm saying? Did you go to the one at Fairlane? Did you go to the one at 12 Oaks? Did you go to the one, you know what I'm saying? At Birch Run, or did you go to the one downtown? Like, where did you go? You know what I'm saying? I went to all of them. Well, nigga, stop going there. Like, they fucking you over. And when women say pick better women, they don't even understand it. You're talking about culturally. You're telling me to pick different women, but you're not saying pick better women. Because if we're picking black women at 87%, look, there's no women that's hiding under a rock or in the closet or behind a curtain. You know what I mean? There's no black women just hiding everything. We pretty much know y'all by now. It's a cultural issue. You know what I'm saying? And I like that he says American woman because you can address culture a lot better that way. You know what I mean? Which is not something that we should do. We shouldn't necessarily do that. I mean, we should keep doing it the way that we're doing it because, again, every content creator doesn't have to necessarily be the same. Again, I don't think that, even doing that, I don't think that like, even the content the content problem, with regards to some dudes, talking, live about Passport Bros and talking live about SYSBM, that will solve itself. That eventually solves itself. It's just like, okay, the more and more dudes are getting their passports, the more and more that dudes, are just showing receipts, the more and more productive dudes who are, actually out here doing it and living it, and more you can put a face to it. Like, I think Pablo, for example, is a really good example of, a passport bro. You know what I'm saying? He's a really, or, SYSBM or whichever one, but he's a really good example. He's an older gentleman, you know what I'm saying? He's married, I think he was an engineer, you know what I'm saying? But he's obviously financially, he's good. You know what I mean? He's a very good example of it's not like that. You know what I mean? I think Austin as a young dude is a really good example of, the Zillennial, you know what I mean, who, is a select dude who can go out here and, and get chicks, but he's just like, nah, I don't like the culture. You know what I mean? Because when a dude who can get women say, I don't like this pool of women, then it's different. You know what I mean? Because people sound like idiots when they say, well, that's because you ain't got no game to get these chicks. It's just like, really? You think that? You know what I'm saying? You really think that? Like, I don't think that people think, but these problems, they solve themselves because all dudes got to do is keep going in a direction. I think a lot of times, man, it's just, we get a little impatient, with the speed at which things are moving, and then when you look back, like, like my divorce process, like, I'm glad I did it when I did it, but I probably should have did it maybe like 2 or 3 years before. But the process of actually just being divorced and then being okay and like kind of like pulling myself out of that situation, the process seems so long, but like now that I'm looking at it, it was probably like 2 or 3 years, which 2 or 3 years when you're in it is some bullshit. But like afterward, I'm like, man, I'm glad I did that because now I'm not financially beholden to her. Now I'm not emotionally beholden to her. Now, you know what I mean? The kids are kind of adjusted. I've been to court like probably like 10 times in that, little time span. I don't have to do that anymore. A lot of this stuff sort of eventually just solved itself. I still had to do the right thing. I had to keep myself alive, I had to keep myself financially stable. Obviously, I had to improve my body. I had to be the dad that I needed to be. I had to do all those things, but the problem eventually kind of just solves itself as opposed to trying to solve it. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of things that I thought I was going to do to solve the problem, but eventually, and it's not about like being passive necessarily too, because I don't want to sound like I'm saying be passive, but understand the environment, have awareness of the environment so that you can kind of avoid pitfalls. You know what I mean? And don't act in a passive, don't be passive, be proactive. But being proactive, you know what I mean, and preventative, it should come with understanding the environment. You know what I mean? Because it makes it to where you don't pick the kind of woman that you would ultimately pick if you weren't aware. You know what I mean? And these women, and these women, they are driving a hard bargain. They are driving a hard bargain. When I get to the point, you know what I mean, where I want to be, I think that I'm going to get offered. I feel like it's coming where I'm probably going to get offered polygamy, you know what I'm saying, or a 2-on-1. I feel like that's coming next. I just want to, how you hold out for a sale and you're like, nah, they're going to have a better sale. nah, that was gonna go on clearance. I think that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for bitches to go on clearance. You know what I'm saying? Like bitches eventually gonna go on clearance, and I'm gonna get a couple. And it's like, nah, nigga, I'm gonna wait for the deal. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna wait for the deal. I think the bitches is gonna go on sale. You know what I'm saying? You know, because niggas is bouncing. I think bitches is gonna go on sale. And when bitches go on sale, nigga, I'm gonna be first in line, nigga. I'm gonna be first in line. And you niggas done already picked. Now, you already picked your broad. I waited for the sale, nigga. I told you it's gonna go. You waited at 30%. I'm at this now. It's at 70%, nigga. I'm gonna get 2 or 3. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get bitches on discount. You know what I'm saying? But bitches is on discount. Please understand that they on discount out here. You know what I'm saying? It's on discount. Coochie on discount. Everything is on discount. You know what I'm saying? And the problem of women asking for these astronomical numbers, it solved itself. It's here, inflation. Here, recession. Here, eviction. Like this shit solves itself, but you being aware of it, you know what I mean, sort of makes it to where you can go 2 for 1. Yeah, 2 for 1. Nigga, I'm talking 3 for 1. Fuck the bullshit. 3 for 1. But it's like when you get to a point where as you understand the environment, you're almost like Neo. Like, it's like when he asked the question of, you know what I'm saying, am I going to be able to dodge bullets? You're like, well, you may get to a point where you don't even have to. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it's like, you don't even have to dodge these bullets because the environment is already what it is, you know, and a lot of what we do here, you know what I'm saying, is making people aware of the environment. And look, everybody's doing a wonderful job. You know what I'm saying? Bernard's doing a wonderful job, obviously, you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm over there more than I'm anywhere, you know what I'm saying? But Bernard does a wonderful job. You know what I'm saying? Ed does a wonderful job. I always enjoy his content. You know what I'm saying? You know, he puts out a lot of content. So a lot of times when I'm listening to Ed, it's like I catch him on a replay, you know, and I'm usually, you know what I'm saying, listening to him when I'm running or when I'm at the court, you know what I'm saying, which I'm about to go in a few, maybe in the next 10 minutes, I'm gonna go to the court and you know, throw some shots and get some drills in, you know what I mean? Gotta keep myself where I need to be. But it's like everybody's doing a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful job. BGS, obviously, Dr. T.S. Johnson, you know, Grinch, you know what I'm saying, and more, because it's people that I don't listen to that I know they make great content, but it's just like, man, it's a lot of good stuff out here. You know what I mean? And my ears can only be loyal to certain, you know what I'm saying, creators, you know what I'm saying? Hood Conservative obviously does a wonderful job, you know what I'm saying? A lot of these guys just do wonderful jobs in making you aware of what it is that's going on, you know what I'm saying? But like, you know, we just kind of like, well, I just need to move forward with a lot of the stuff, understanding the environment and, you know, let these problems sort of solve themselves, because they're not our problems to begin with. You know what I'm saying? A woman who's overweight and, you know, ain't cooperative and defiant and destructive, she ain't my problem. You know what I'm saying? She is not my problem. These bras ain't my problem. You know, not at all. They not close to being my problem. You know, and I'm tired of niggas trying to solve that problem. You know, because the thing is that as much as, you know, my algorithm suggests that I'm not a minority in, you know, my thought process, you know what I mean? In life, nigga, I'm a minority. You know what I'm saying? Because when I go out in this world, like I got a whole brother that I do content with, you know what I'm saying, sparingly, because he just, you know, the nigga's in a relationship, so he's trying not to, like, you know, he's trying to like have a relationship, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, you can't make this kind of content, you know what I mean? At least not initially. And, you know, try to have a relationship. You have a girlfriend and you say bitches need to get their mind right. You know what I mean? Essentially, your relationship is over. You know what I mean? But I got a whole brother that I'm 2 years, you know what I'm saying, you know, older than, and I got to convince this nigga that, you know what I'm saying, of any of this shit. That's how crazy it is. Like, we're brothers. Like, we're the closest of any, like, people don't even see me and they ask where he's at. And they don't ask him where I'm at when they see him, because he's the fun guy. I'm the quiet one. So I'm not really, you know, but still, it's still my convince. It's still MVP. Like, I got to convince this nigga of this shit. Because he just thinks it's too serious. Like, man, that shit too serious, dog. It's like, it ain't even that deep. And then the nigga going through the same problems that I predict. You know what I mean? And I sound like I'm fucking clairvoyant. I sound like I sound smart. I'm like, no, nigga, I'm not smart. They're just doing what they always do. You know, it's like we're a minority. Like your algorithm may make you think like, dude, this is all we talk about. But nigga, real life, nigga, everybody on the outside is not, they're not aware, dude. They're zombies. They're fucking like walking around like they don't know what the fuck is going on. You know what I mean? And a lot of times said, Jackie Jack, are you on sale yet? People try to get a deal on Jackie in my chat. I can't believe this. This is ridiculous. But I mean, you know, Jackie just, she officially is 35. So I mean, I'm not saying she on discount, but she 35. But yeah, like my whole brother doesn't get this shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because it's too complex for him. I just think that he think that there's a solution. And it's really the solution's not up to us. It's up to the environment. You know what I mean? It's just up to the environment. You know what I mean? Like I could have predicted, like I remember 5, maybe 7 years ago, me saying, man, I got to get out of debt because every 10 years something happens. You know what I'm saying? You know, we had 9/11, 2001. We had the mortgage crisis, 2008, 2009. And I feel like something's going to happen and I need to be out of debt so that I can benefit from it. And I'm benefiting from it now. And 2020, March 2020, pandemic. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I'm not a genius, dude. It's just shit happen every 10 years. And so when I was thinking about getting out of debt, I was like, yeah, I need to get out of debt. But it wasn't like, I was like, I'm not clairvoyant. I'm just not an idiot. Like it's pattern recognition, you know? And we got to understand that this shit is going to solve itself. Now, the way it's going to solve itself, man, I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of bitches on the street. I mean, with the evictions are the evictions, so whatever. And I think it's going to be bitches lapping up. You know what I mean? It's going to be bitches lapping up. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get 2, you know, shout out to Paul Gang. He said it. You're going to get 2 for 1 out this month. You're going to get 2 for 1, 3 for 1. You know what I'm saying? You know, and they're going to have to lap up. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, if Jackie's in the chat still, no, I'm playing. No, but if you really, and the hangout, you know, make sure, you know what I'm saying, if you're in the Detroit area, come kick it with us, you know what I'm saying, the hangout, you know what I mean, the last one was really, really good. It was a fun outing, you know what I mean, really, you know, it was cool, man. It was really, really cool. You know what I'm saying? I might have to work again because I brought my work there. I might have to do the same thing again because we got like 8 people out. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's sick and surgery and shit. So I might have to bring my work again. But you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm gonna be there still. Not a big deal. But you know, just we need to be just aware. You know what I'm saying? Just to close it. You know what I'm saying? I'm almost at the hour mark. We just need to really, or I need to really be aware of the environment like we have been, keep reporting what's going on like we have been, you know what I'm saying? And the problem, you know, trying to solve the problem of which I don't think that most of us, like when people say, well, what's the solution? It's just like, man, I be wanting to punch niggas in the face when they say that. I mean, that shit gives me a violent reaction. You know what I mean? Like I really be wanting to punch niggas in the face when they be like, you know, what's the solution? I'd be like, nigga, I'm gonna punch you in the face. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna hurt you, dog. You know what I mean? You know, and it's not like, it's never personal. You know what I mean? Like personally, I want to punch like a person in the face, but I think that what's the solution shit is a punch in the face offense. You know what I mean? You know, yeah, I mean, I just think it is. But the solution is be aware of the environment and act accordingly, be proactive at all times. You know, and you won't have to dodge bullets. You know what I mean? But that's my time, man. You know what I mean? I appreciate, you know, everybody, you know, who has support, you know what I'm saying? Everybody that was in the chat, you know what I'm saying? And if you could share it, you know what I'm saying? Share it live, you know what I mean? And I try to do more of these, you know what I'm saying? Because like setting everything up and everything is like tedious. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to swag jack Edward Anderson's way of doing lives and shit, but like this shit is convenient as hell. I see why he does it. But that's my time. You know what I'm saying? It's Mike Perkins. I'm out. Y'all be good.